The following is a Spirit Street production.
Really interesting week in the Big 12. There were some surprises. There were some letdowns, crazy movement like I told you there would be each and every week. But spoiler alert, Cincinnati is not last in Big B's power rankings this week. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show, presented by Synergy Financial Partners. Now let's go to booming North Texas, home of Studio 73. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. This is the Big 12 Insiders Power Rankings edition. A lot of movement this week, Fitz. Big changes in Big B's power rankings this week.
Well, so if this is your first time watching this, we take Big B's personal power rankings, which I fully endorse, even though I sometimes disagree, and compare them to the publishers of the Big 12 24/7 sites. We also do our own, we don't call them the power rankings, but we have a listing of the 16 teams of the week, and we compare them. Last week, there was a lot of differences. This week, there was a huge shakeup in this conference based on what happened on the field, and there are far fewer differences. So I thought that was very interesting that after that chaotic week, we're starting to sift through things and figure out an order, although Big B, pretty much 7 on down is chaos.
Oh, absolutely. It is complete chaos. And they're kind of the same team from 7 to 15. That everybody is sort of the same. I know the records are a little different, obviously, but I don't be surprised next week if this, well, first of all, you shouldn't be surprised because the order will absolutely be different. But the swing of the order, Fitz, is what could change so much. Is it just the swings are crazy based on performance? And again, I do it based on each and every week. Now, I can't eliminate what we've seen in the past, and I think that's part of it and why some people get a little frustrated, but it's still a week-to-week thing. So
that's what power resume too. I mean, we're only heading into week 5.
Exactly.
And next week I think is a pretty slow week around the conference. And so we really won't until like week 7 see the full, everything kind of start to roll out and make sense. Maybe week 8 when it gets a little bit better. But yeah, it's starting to shake out. One thing's clear: Houston, you have earned 16. You did a thorough job making it very clear you belong at the bottom. That was
100%. We'll get into this, but first, before we do, just want to remind everybody to remember, follow, like, subscribe, continue to leave all those comments. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. And, the participation with the comments, I love it. You know, the back and forth. We don't have to agree on everything. Matter of fact, we don't have to agree on anything. Just leave the comments and I'll go back and forth with you. We absolutely appreciate that. And again, lastly, make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when all Big 12 Insider information and content comes out.
Yeah, no personal attacks. No personal attacks. Let's keep this fun. This is for fun.
Yes.
If you can't have fun with your sports, if you get it that emotional, cut back on your caffeine.
I absolutely agree. Let's get into it, Fitz. Number 16, spoiler alert, it's Houston. I mean, look, I don't think there's any doubt. I had Cincinnati fans thinks I had a vendetta against them. I promise you I do not. And you're going to find out in these power rankings, I don't have a vendetta. It's just what I thought at the time. But Houston, until further notice, Fitz, I'll just say it, they're going to be 16. I mean, this – you go to Cincinnati and you get smoked, just not competitive. Maybe Cincinnati's that much better than you and you're that much further than everybody else in the conference. I don't know. I know what I saw the week before at OU, but maybe OU's not as good either. I'm just saying. But either way, Houston has earned this spot at 16. They're not good right now. Willie Fritz he's got a task in front of him. So
I got nothing to say. Houston, you got a problem, man.
Yeah.
Willie Fritz will get it there. It just might take a while. It took a while at Tulane. It might take longer than we expected, but boy, that was a stinker.
I think what it is Fitz, he doesn't have all the guys that are non-believers. They're not out of his program yet. And I don't think he could kick everybody out initially because you've still got to put a team together.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's got all the people. They haven't all bought in, and he's not able to get all those guys out. He will, and it'll be next year. Trust me, that roster will turn over, and they'll look totally different, and they'll play different next year.
Yep, I agree with you.
Number 15, I'm sorry, TCU fans, but you're 15, and you have acted like you're 15. Look, I don't know, Fitz. You've been covering football a lot longer than I have. I mean, I've been around it my whole life. I don't know the last time that I've seen a head coach get kicked out of a football game because the referees are pretty lenient on what they will let you do. They'll let you give them hell.
What did he say?
He kicked out. It's crazy.
What did he say? You pretty much to get kicked out of a football game have to be so foul in your language, abusive in your language, or threatening in your language that you probably shouldn't be a head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, if you went that far, maybe the refs had a quick trigger. I mean, maybe Jerry Pollard switched over from basketball to do some football and kicked someone out just instinctively. But look, that's embarrassing to the university. And remember what that C in the middle of your name means.
Wow. I don't know. First of all, that's embarrassing. Never seen it happen before. And I described it as this. He just wanted a quick way to get it out of there because they were getting their head beaten in. And maybe he just didn't want to be out there for the rest of it. Because on a football field, your team doesn't respond. That's not like getting a technical in basketball and your team responds. That's not what this is. Okay. It's not the same type of thing. And for that to happen, it was embarrassing. The play was embarrassing. I thought TCU was a better football team, but they're not. And SMU just whipped them. And again, I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns, a punt return for a touchdown. It's all part of it, man. It's all part of it. And I thought you were better based on the week before because I think UCF is pretty good, but maybe not. I don't know. But 15 you are.
There's a chance Coach Dykes was at home by game's end. Like he just had his wife come pick him up. Let's go home.
Yeah, it's not that far. Unbelievable. At number 14, Kansas. You talk about just choking a football game away. And literally what West Virginia did the week before and losing to Pitt, they said, oh, yeah, there's the film on how to lose a game in the last 5 minutes. Kansas did the exact same thing. Embarrassing. I thought Kansas was going to bounce back. I can look, you guys know me. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I was wrong about Kansas. I thought they would be better. I thought their team would be better. I thought with everything they brought back and the coaching, I thought they're going to be a player in the Big 12. Now, technically, they can still be. But is there anything that you, Fitz, have seen that says, oh, yeah, Kansas can win the Big 12? Because I haven't seen it on the field. Not at all.
No. They've lost their offensive identity with the change of coordinators.
Yep.
Jalen Daniels has been hot trash.
Can't play quarterback anymore.
He looks like he lost his mojo, which is sad because that kid could play some football. And, I think a lot of what made him so good was his confidence and moxie. He's just like, I'm going to do this, and it works. Sometimes it wouldn't, but now it's just not working at all. It's painful to watch. And, defensively, even those great guys in the defensive backfield, the cornerbacks, they're making mistakes.
Yep.
It's just, it seems to be all falling apart. There's still talent on this team. Lance Leipold is still a great coach. There's just been I'll admit it, there's management issues with time, and it's a mess. Seems to be imploding. That was a horrific loss in the way it took place. And there, it's happened again and again. And I think once you get that cycle repeated over and over, it's going to pieces. It's going to be irreparable pretty soon.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like, okay, you look at the teams that KU has lost to. They lost to Illinois. Well, you think Illinois might be a pretty good team.
Decent,
UNLV might be a pretty good team. Yep. West Virginia. Now, I thought West Virginia was going to be a pretty good team at the beginning of the year. Lost to Penn State, which Penn State's pretty good. And then you lose to Pitt. And Pitt is not. I don't care what anybody says. Pitt's not good. But here we are. and KU loses to them when they had the game won. You get one stop with 5 minutes to go, and the victory is yours, and they couldn't get it.
Nope.
And again, it wasn't like they turned the ball over and it were short fields. No, they allowed them to drive almost the length of the field twice to go win the game. You're right, Fitz. A lot going on there in Kansas right now. So, number 13, Cincinnati. Look at there. Oh, Cincinnati moving up the board, Fitz. I'm telling you, Bearcat fans, somebody said, finally showing some love. You're right. I'm finally showing some love. Look, they won the football games that they're supposed to win. That was a dominant performance against Houston. Houston's not any good, but you know what? It doesn't matter. You went and dominated the football game, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're facing inferior competition. I like Cincinnati moving up, and they may be moving up more, Fitz. Who knows? They keep playing this way. Maybe they're moving up more. There was a lot of Cincy fans that thought 7 wins was the floor for this team. I thought that was a really high ceiling, but some people say the floor. 4 games in, who knows? Who knows?
Scott Satterfield is, to quote my favorite movie, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I'm not dead yet. And that's Scott Satterfield in a nutshell right there. As he's recovering, he's showing some moxie here. It's going to be interesting to see as they progress through the schedule. I mean, nobody's going to build a resume on winning at Houston right now as they're in their first year, but you start building that confidence in the locker room.
Right.
That will build confidence because they didn't just win. They put their foot on their throat, or put I'll never mind. And it was impressive. It really was. So congrats to the Bearcat fans. They're great fans, and let's see where this heads.
Absolutely. Speaking of not dead yet, Neil Brown, West Virginia at number 12. Neil Brown, I mean, there were calls for Neil Brown. If they lost to Kansas at home, he walking off the field, he's fired. That's what the fans literally wanted. And with 5 minutes to go, they had the contract, sign it here. You're buying you out, get out. But lo and behold, they win the football game and he sticks around again, just like last year. Circle the wagons. I honestly believe, Fitz, that was a job-saving win. And it's the opportunity for West Virginia to get this thing turned around because, like I mentioned, I think they've got some talent. I think they got a pretty good team. Now they got to just continue to put it together.
Yeah. Another I'm not dead yet reference. Basically Neil Brown's the Undertaker, and he just shot his hand in the air to prove he's not dead. Everyone thought you were dead, Neil. Sorry we started throwing dirt on top of you. But no, he's hanging on. He better win some games. Some more games. I think getting to 6 wins probably is pretty essential. But that was a back from the brink moment for.
Yes, it was. I mean, West Virginia fans, I'd gotten several messages. They were finished with Neil Brown. Just couldn't believe. I mean, and after the way they lost the week before, I get it. I 100% get it. So hopefully they can continue on this winning path. Last one before we reveal the 6 here, Baylor. I just look, Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda is such a smart coach that he outsmarted himself on the final play of a football game. First of all, we can talk about how smart he is, but they're poorly coached. If you go back and watch that Hail Mary pass, Fitz, he has 2 safeties standing in the back of the end zone, not at the goal line to knock down the pass, at the back of the end zone. And then they have outside coverage, one-on-one coverage, and then he decides to send a blitz. I'm like, what are you doing? And so you could say maybe one kid is at the back of the end zone. He doesn't know what he's doing. He missed whatever, blah, blah, blah. But both safeties? No, I mean, and one-on-one coverage didn't make any sense to me. He took the blame for the loss. I don't know how you could blame anybody else. I still don't know if Colorado's any good. And I definitely don't know if Baylor's any good, but I wanted to put you lower. I really did. And maybe I should have just because of the way you lost this game, but that's bad. This is a game that I think Baylor fans circled as a W, and now it's a loss. Dave Aranda may be in trouble.
Well, it didn't help that he's way too honest and admitted at the end of the game that defensive call was called victory cigar. Wrong thing got smoked.
Unbelievable. I just when he said that and I'm like, are you kidding me? What are we doing? What's this guy doing, man? It's just I'm sorry, Baylor fans. I'm not trying to jump on you, but Lord have mercy.
I gotta admit, this would make me reluctant to hire him as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Even though he did a great job at LSU.
Correct.
When he says stuff like that, and that's how he had him trained to do it, yeah, I got an issue here.
Yeah, it's disheartening to say the least. But let's reveal the first 6 here. Houston, TCU, Kansas, Cincinnati, West Virginia, and Baylor. And
Only
going
one the
against,
same.
yes, one of them are the same, which is Kansas. Well, I guess Houston is the same too.
Did I miss Houston? I sure did.
But I think that's just kind of is what it is. I think everybody
I double-checked everything. I apparently this morning, lacking caffeine intake, needed to triple check.
Baylor, they got Baylor all the way down at 15. They didn't like that loss either.
Nope.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe like I said, I should have put West Virginia ahead of them. Maybe. I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But that's what we've got. Look at their Bearcats at number 12. I like it. Yep. So let's move on. All right. So at number 10, I've got Colorado.
Yeah.
There's no justification for putting Colorado any further higher than Baylor. Look, they won the game. You give them credit for making the play to win the game. But Colorado, again, that offensive line, I know they talked after the game, we can run the ball. I'm like, well, no, you really can't. And you can't pass protect because Baylor just said, we're only going to rush 4 guys. We don't think that you can block us. And you can't because we're going to get 8 sacks and harass your quarterback all game long. Yes, Shedeur Sanders threw for over 300 yards, but he's really good. And they also happen to have the best player in college football that he's throwing the football to. So, yeah, and they have that. But until I see them be able to pass protect, Fitz, they're going to run into some teams that are going to just say, you know what, we're going to rush 4. We're going to cover. We're going to double cover Travis Hunter. Now go beat us and see what happens. And when you can't run it, it's a recipe for disaster. It really is, Fitz.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what teams do in the future. I think Baylor put on film a good way to slow them down, let them have their passing yardage, but also Baylor put on film a good way to get beat because they got too loose in the back.
Correct.
Keeping track of receivers.
Correct.
I mean, let's roll it back one play before Colorado won the game. He hit another receiver in the damn chest. And the guy's trying to catch it like this instead of like this, and it bounces off his shoulder pads. Bad luck as a receiver. I'm telling you, kids, that's a bad look. Get your hands up. So they screwed up back to back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Back to
what
back
makes
plays.
it so bad at Baylor. That's what makes it so bad. Back-to-back Hail Marys worked. Just Colorado just screwed it up the first time. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Oh, goodness gracious. At number 9, I got Arizona State. Look, Arizona State got punched in the mouth by Texas Tech early, but they got up, Fitz. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to see. How would Arizona State deal with some adversity against a Big 12 team? And they got up off the mat. Now, they didn't win, and they had too many errors playing, in the game. That too many errors, penalties, turned the ball over. So they weren't able to win. But I like the simple fact that they kept it close. They got it close, and they just didn't lay down because it was 14-0 at a blink of an eye. And you're thinking, okay, this thing could get out of hand quickly. And they didn't allow for that to happen. They settled back into the game and made a game of it. This bodes well for them moving forward, Fitz.
Yeah, it does. I didn't see anything here to dispel my belief in Arizona State. It's not like I thought they were a top 4 team in this conference, but they made it very clear they're not a bottom 4.
Correct.
And they're going to have to fall apart to get back there. And that is a huge step. Look, I'm a big believer. If you really want to improve a football program, you can't do it in the course of a season because there's probably some fool's gold in there. There's probably some things that if the entire season's replicated, you don't get that type of record. But if you do it methodically, which not enough coaches get time to do it, but Dillingham's in his second season. If he keeps climbing the ladder and season 3 is even better, by season 4, he could be in that top 4 of this conference. What he's doing is spot on, and there's going to be some struggles. There was in Lubbock, but boy, I'm a believer now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just build. I mean, what he took over was an absolute mess. It was chaos, and it takes time to be able to figure that out, to sift through the chaos just to stand up. Well, they're standing up now. And now I think they've got an opportunity. Now that they're standing up, now maybe they'll start taking a couple more steps. So good for Arizona State.
Who would ever thought Herm Edwards would flame out? Huh.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah. Herm Edwards oh, my goodness. He literally, you talk about the definition of trying to torpedo a program and doing it. They just were able to save the ship. And that's what's happening. They were able to save the ship. Just horrible. That was a bad hire.
Coaching malpractice.
Yeah. Just Lord have mercy. But good for Arizona State that they're out of that. Good for them. Number 8, I got Arizona. Look, they didn't play. But the last time we saw Arizona, wasn't impressed. So we'll see what happens this week. They got a big one against Utah. I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll see. At number 7, Texas Tech. Just talked about them. Look, Texas Tech finally started playing football the previous week against North Texas because the first 2 weeks, they didn't look like that they wanted to participate in a football season. They just didn't. Well, they got it going against North Texas. And like I said, they punched Arizona State directly in the mouth right from the get-go, and they were able to continue and I wouldn't say hold on Fitz to win the game, but they did enough to win the game. I mean, it was a good football game for them. Again, Arizona State's not some slouch, so you're not going to beat them by 28 points. It's just not something that you're going to do. So for them to be able to win is a good win for them at home against a pretty good football team.
Agreed. I got nothing more to add. It was well needed. They've had back-to-back doses of good medicine.
Gotcha. Next up at number 6, I got Kansas State. I'm sorry. I'm just under the impression of what happened at BYU. You've got to be better. I don't want to say that Kansas State is overrated by any means, because then you're discrediting what BYU did to say that Kansas State was overrated, and I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is maybe Kansas State, until proven otherwise, maybe they're not quite as good as what everybody thought. I think it's okay to have that conversation and say that, because the first little bit of adversity that they faced this season, they literally fell flat on their face, Fitz.
Yep.
And you can't do that if you're a good football team. So I think maybe it's a little bit immature. And when I say immature, when your leader is a sophomore, it's tough. When they haven't been in those situations before and people are looking to them to lead us out of this, and they don't know how because they haven't been in it, it becomes difficult. But again, I don't want to take anything away from what BYU did and say that it was fluky or anything like that, because then you're discrediting them. I don't think you can do that. Kansas State is at 6.
A lot of bend but don't break defense by BYU. K-State would get into the red zone and then have penalties and back up and get frustrated. And then broke loose towards the end of the first half. And boy, BYU got to rolling and rolling and rolling. And it didn't really stop until Kalani Sitake said, you know what, we're going to pull it in a little bit here because it was getting ugly. It was impressive, but I think that signifies pretty much what this conference is. Outside of Utah, as far as I can tell at this point, teams are going to have really great performances, followed by stinkers, followed by good performances, followed by okay. It's just, some of these teams are going to be so volatile up and down, hard to define, that it's going to get very interesting in this conference. And Big B, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say 2 things here. One, Utah fans are probably right. They're going to run the Big 12. And also, I think this conference isn't very good this year. I'm as big a drum beater fan. I just don't see the depth I'm used to in this conference. I see a lot of programs struggling for their identity right as this 16-team alignment is formed, and that includes apparently Kansas State.
Yeah, I think you're right on both accounts. I think we just got to see some better football. That's all that there is to it. We just got to see some better football. And maybe as we get in, again, we're very young into the conference, but a lot of people thought the conference would cannibalize itself. And that might be true, still might be true. But when they're cannibalizing yourself, you're seeing good football being played. And look, we can talk about Kansas State, BYU all you want. I think we got to move on, but that wasn't that good of a football game. BYU just took advantage of all the mistakes, and that's a sign of a good team. Take advantage of what somebody gives you, and you lay their hammer to them, and that's it. So,
yeah, I agree with you. Everyone's eating each other, but these cannibals don't have very sharp teeth.
There you go. I agree. I agree. Last one before we reveal our initial 12 here is Oklahoma State. Look, Oklahoma State fans are going to be mad because they made the game close at the end, but I'm not sure how you can really be mad. If you watch the first, 55 minutes of this football game, Utah walked up to you, and I said this on the recap show yesterday, Fitz. Utah walked up to you, punched you in the face repeatedly, and you just stood there and took it and couldn't do anything about it. That's what happened. And anybody else that says that that's not what happened, you're lying to yourself. I'm sorry. That is literally what happened. And you didn't fight back until Utah decided, okay, we're going to take our foot off the gas. We've got this game won. Well, Oklahoma State does have talented football players. So if you take your foot all the way off the gas, they're going to make a game of it. And they did at the end, which, again, just leads me to believe because, again, they have this talented team. What went on? What happened? How did you let this happen? And why is your coach just pulling a first-time head coach move and pulling his starting quarterback at halftime to put in a guy that is clearly worse, and he played worse? I just don't get it, Fitz. I didn't get any of it.
I would imagine the offensive and defensive lines, all those members that played, went hungry that night because Utah stole your lunch money.
Yeah.
They bullied you. They pushed you around. They played Big 12 football better than you played Big 12 football. And that's got to be humiliating. You and I are old-time football guys. We like that. If you want to really embarrass someone, Kansas State was pretty embarrassed by that score. But if you really want to humiliate someone, you push them around in their house and win a game when they walk off the field knowing we just got our ass kicked for 60 minutes. Congratulations, Utah. That was impressive. But Big B, I saw a stat today that I think sums up, and I'm trusting the Twitter machine that this is accurate because you know me, that would be too much to look it up for me. I didn't have enough caffeine to do the research. That Oklahoma State is currently averaging less yards per play than the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Oh, wow. Lord have mercy.
If you thought it was bad, Oklahoma State, if it's truly that bad, you might want to fix it this weekend in Manhattan.
Yeah. They can't run the ball. I don't know what's happened. They literally can't run the ball. And it's not like Ollie Gordon's getting 4, 5, 8 carries a game. I mean, and what did he have? Like 42 yards against Utah, and 22 of them came on the last 2 runs when Utah's in prevent defense. I'm like, they can't get the running game going. I don't know. It's interesting. But they got to get it turned around this weekend.
Makes no sense.
Because it's going to be a fight again this weekend. Because guess what? Kansas State, what they actually do really well is line up and run the football. And Oklahoma State didn't look good at stopping that run last week. So you're going to go to Manhattan and not be able to stop the run. You're going to be in some trouble. So they got to get this thing turned around in a hurry. Let's reveal the next ones here, Fitz. So 2 of them are the same. Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Texas Tech flipped with Arizona. Arizona State and Colorado are flipped.
Yep.
I don't know.
It's starting to get closer between you and the Big 12 publishers. It's
that Colorado, putting them ahead of Arizona State, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know everybody is enamored with the Hail Mary victory, but if you actually watch that game, like Colorado didn't play well. I mean, and they didn't play well. So I don't know. But I mean, we're splitting hairs here. I get that. Oddly enough, me and you have no hair, and we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
But
We change
yeah,
it to splitting back hairs.
There you go.
Okay.
That one's a little, I don't know if I mean, it's not about agreeing with any of them, but that one, I just don't see Colorado being better than Arizona State.
I totally agree.
Not right now. So, all right. Well, let's get back to it. The Final Four here. Look, and just as a reminder, everybody, before we reveal them, remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, leave those comments. Again, I appreciate all the support that you've given me and Fitz on this channel. We started this thing up because we wanted more coverage in the Big 12. We appreciate everybody that's here. And just so you guys know, we're going to continue to do this. Look, I went to Kansas State. Fitz covers Kansas State. And I think you guys know we do our best to be as impartial as humanly possible. Some people have even accused me of going the other direction so much on this because I just try to be as honest and as fair as possible. So if there's anything you're going to know about me or Fitz when we're on this channel, we are going to be honest. If nothing else, we're going to be honest. Even if you don't agree, we're still going to be honest about what you see.
I think K-State fans know I'm also honest about the Wildcats.
Right? Absolutely, you are. Absolutely. So at number 4, Fitz, we got BYU. I thought about putting them at 3. I really did think about putting them at 3 because UCF, and I can just admit, we'll just go right to UCF is at 3. That win that has elevated UCF over TCU, I mean, BYU's win over Kansas State is much better than that TCU victory. Even though it came on the road, I get it, but you were down 3 scores. But I think we just saw TCU, how they just got shellacked by SMU. I don't know, but I'll for now, I've got BYU at 3. And again, great game on Saturday, took advantage of everything. Or 4, yeah, not 3. We got him at 4.
Find my camera. I could never be a weatherman, Mike.
I hear you. Yeah, we got him at.
Well, 4. let's point out that BYU's defense got it done in the red zone. They forced turnovers. They created havoc at times that K-State couldn't handle. But K-State had 120 more yards. They had more time of possession. They had more first downs. They just had 2 non-offensive touchdowns and 2 short field touchdowns. And those were caused by BYU playing good football. But I think they might be pretty good or they might be pretty average as it shakes out. There's a lot of football to be played, but they were impressive on Saturday night.
Correct. And that's the reason. Some people, maybe we don't have them here, we don't have them there, but all you can go by is what happens. You can't, we're not going to speculate on what we think is going to happen. Power rankings are based on what happened. What did we see? BYU was good. UCF was off. So I got them at 3. Like I mentioned before, I don't know. I put them there. I'm going to leave them there. I'm not going to disrespect them because, again, they didn't lose a football game or look bad in a football game. I just happen to think BYU's victory over Kansas State farly outweighs their victory over TCU. But as of now, we got UCF at 3. Number 2, Iowa State. Look, they didn't play Arkansas State. Although Arkansas State gave Michigan all they wanted, and we just saw Michigan win a football game against the number 11 team in the country that threw for 32 yards. Unbelievable. Michigan threw for 32 yards and beat USC. And Arkansas State gave Michigan all they wanted the week before. So, but Iowa State, and look, I think Iowa State is really good. They kind of went through the motions on Saturday, which they should have. But I think Iowa State is at 2. I think it's very deserving.
I've been high on Iowa State since the start of the season. I thought people were underestimating them. As we sit here now, it's impressive. They got harder games ahead. And they too won, in the final seconds against Iowa. So there's some things here that still need to be sorted out.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is you might even say that Iowa State's victory over Iowa might be the best victory in the conference so far. again, I'm not sure how good Iowa is. I think they're a pretty good football team, but I know going there and winning is pretty hard to do, and Iowa State did that. So they're at number 2. And then at number 1, I don't think there's any question whatsoever what Utah did. I've mentioned it before. Look, you go into a team, Oklahoma State, physical, good football team. You go on the road. You have to play your backup quarterback. And what do? They just say, you know what? We're just going to throw some fists at them. We're just going to throw some punches and see if they can take it. And Oklahoma State could not. And they said, oh, well, they can't take it. We're just going to keep on punching you. And are they going to put their hand up? Nope, not going to put your hand up. Oh, okay. Well, we're just going to keep on punching you. And that's exactly what they did. It was like the bully that just said, you know what? Let me just find somebody and punch him. And he does. Oh, okay. Well, you made that easy. Well, I'm going to keep punching you and make an example out of you. And that's literally what Utah did. And I know Oklahoma State fans, you're going to be mad. I get it. But if you're being honest with yourself, you know what happened. They just lined up with a backup quarterback and just physically whipped you. And I don't care what the end of the final score of the game was. I don't care. We saw what happened, and so did you. Utah is clearly, Fitz, the class of this kind. That's not to take anything away from Iowa State, though, because I think Iowa State's a really good football team. But I just think Utah is head and shoulders better than everybody right now. Right now.
As we sit here right now, absolutely.
That's right.
And I just got to say this. That was beautiful football. That was everything I love about the game was encapsulated in what Utah did. It was cool. It was really cool. I loved that Kyle Whittingham still plays that old school bully ball when he needs to. I think it's still proven to work. And I'm glad someone still understands that, lining up and being better at the point of attack means you're a better team. And with a backup quarterback, and not just a backup quarterback, you're without your spiritual leader in so many ways in Cam Rising. Mm-hmm. He's the wise old man who plays quarterback, and you still do this. It was impressive. We'll see, if they back it up, kind of a rivalry game of sorts this week with Arizona. We'll see how it sorts out.
Right. Yeah. We'll first of all, we'll see if Cam Rising is ready to play.
Hopefully.
But second of all, we'll see how they respond to, such a physical game. But also I would say maybe an emotional physical game as well. So we'll see how they respond to that. If there's any indication, I think they're probably going to respond pretty well, but we'll see. We'll see. Arizona has a few players, so that'll be an interesting matchup, no doubt. So there is the power rankings that we have, everybody, 1 through 16. The top 4, all the same.
Top 6.
Yeah, the top 6, all the same. So I think we're going to see some, like I said, there's always going to be some movement. I think that we're going to see a shakeup again this week. Any matchup outside of Oklahoma State and Kansas State, which is our marquee matchup for Big 12 Insiders this week, Fitz, is there a matchup out there that you that you're looking forward to that might be a shakeup within the conference or something of that nature?
Let me check the schedule, Big B.
Because for me, while you check the schedule, obviously I think Utah is better than Arizona. I think they will beat Arizona. UCF at Colorado, I think UCF. The game that I want to talk about UCF, is the BYU at Baylor.
Yep.
The BYU
There's a couple sorting out games
Baylor,
here.
Can BYU, and it's not that I think BYU's not any good or something like that, but how do they respond after such an emotional win and then going on the road to Baylor? That's the game that I'm going to keep my eye on to see how good BYU really is. If they go there and they win that game, they may have something on their hands. Now they go there and they lose, then it's okay. What's going on there? Because I'm not sure what Baylor is at this point. I'm not sure that they're that good of a football team, Fitz. Yeah, I really don't.
And TCU versus Kansas at Arrowhead, probably a good 25,000 fans will be there. That's going to sort something out. I mean, both those programs, both those coaches are underperforming. I love the Colorado UCF matchup. It's going to be very interesting. Iowa State should roll into Houston and get a Big 12 road win. If they don't,
Yep.
that would be very Big 12 if they didn't, but I think they will. Cincinnati at Tech. That's another sorting out game, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Cincinnati's looked better than Tech, but they got to go to Lubbock for the first time. And again, Bearcat fans, if you're going to Lubbock, don't eat the tortillas. And Arizona at Utah, that's another Big 12 after dark, which I'm excited about because I'll be covering an 11 a.m. game. I'll probably be a couple beers in by the time that game kicks off, and I get to be a fan and just watch some football, and I'm very excited about watching these games. Every game on this schedule, maybe short of Iowa State, Houston, unless Houston does something shocking, has entertainment value.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited about it. But yeah, our spotlight game this week that you will be previewing tomorrow will be Oklahoma State at Kansas State, as we put one game every week in the spotlight, and that's the big one.
Yep. And it's early, 11 a.m., with our it's just early this week. 11 a.m. game for the spotlight. Last week it was 2:30 or 3 o'clock actually is on Fox. This one's on ESPN. So we'll get into all of that good stuff later on in the week here. But we appreciate everybody tuning in and checking out Big 12 Insiders Power Rankings. Again, this is where we see it, or better yet, where I see it as teams stand right now. But don't worry, if you don't like where your team happens to be ranked this week, just come back next week because I promise you it will be totally different. This is the Big 12 Insiders.
This has been a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.